Greetings, Lung Tong. This is Bill from the Iron Lotus Society. I promised I would do a Q&A about building some strength and some different conditioning-related items. So let me just, first of all, preface this by saying what I believe strength is, okay? And what I believe strength is a mixture of raw power, which is going to be your easiest strength to build, conditioning, which is your second easiest strength to build, tendon power and hip control, which is more like your mechanics, and then repetition-based muscle memory, which is your utilization, okay, and your ingrained pattern, so which is going to be the absolute hardest to do over time. So anyway, any questions about developing any of those is welcome during these sessions, and I'll do one a week if everybody has enough questions. So first thing that I wanted to talk about was mentioned by a brother. He's talking about diet, okay? He said, I want to know about diet and how to lose some fat. Well, let me tell you, as somebody who bulks up and cuts down and bulks up and cuts down, I can tell you there are two different ways to lose fat and to diet. One of the ways is to diet over a short period of time, anywhere between 12 and 16 weeks, controlling calorie intake and monitoring macronutrients, which are your carbs, your protein, and your fat. It doesn't really matter which way you do your macros. Some people do high fat, some people do high carbs, some people do high protein. It really makes no difference as long as you're getting in enough protein and then filling in the rest of the macronutrients. And you're keeping the calories at a certain level, obviously. That is not... It is not a really gradual way. It's very fast. You might lose some strength. You might feel a little low for the time that you're dieting, and it's just really not something I suggest for martial artists. I do not feel like that is optimal. Now, if you're on the side, if you're bodybuilding to build your physique or increase the aesthetic look of your body or any kind of thing like that, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good way to diet to kind of see where you are. But as far as if you're just, you want an all-around diet, something you're going to stick with or make changes for a long time, I do not feel like it's optimal for performance sports, martial arts, or even really weightlifters or anything like that. I just really don't feel like it's a good idea. So the second type of diet is to just improve how you eat over time. And one of the easiest suggestions I can tell you is that if you're not sedentary, as you don't sit around all day, if you train a lot and you're pretty healthy, one of the things you can do is take whatever you're eating now and substitute one of the main large meals of the day with a lean protein and a salad or steamed or boiled green vegetables such as asparagus. You can eat raw spinach if you'd like. I like to eat raw spinach. That is going to, over time, just be something you can build into a habit, and believe it or not, it will increase your conditioning and it'll help the way that your body looks, and it'll make big improvements over time. So as far as diet is concerned, my big suggestion for people who need to perform is do not decrease the amount of food that you're eating necessarily, but change the quality of what you're intaking. So, eat things that are single ingredients, steak, chicken, fish, potatoes, sweet potatoes, asparagus, spinach, lettuce, celery, any kind of fruits, whole foods, things that don't take multiple ingredients to make, okay? And that's a very fast way and to really kind of improve your overall health and kind of get your body, in sort of a metabolic mode. So that's not to say that you can't have things you enjoy. I would suggest you not being super strict about your diet. I just do not feel that super strict diet is beneficial at all. In fact, through super strict dieting, I have developed body image issues and guilt eating, stress eating, all kinds of things that you just don't want to deal with. So I do not suggest restricting food. I just suggest changing the quality of the food that you eat. So, you know, just whole foods. So to answer that question, that's my biggest suggestion: whole foods. If anyone is interested in a diet, though, for 12 to 14 weeks, maybe just want to drop some fat off or whatever, I can offer that to you for a very reasonable price and give you consultations face-to-face and through Skype, you know, doing all that stuff with you for 12 weeks. I promise you'll lose the weight. So it's you know, a pretty simple formula, and it always works. It has worked for many, many people I know. So anyway, moving on from diet, I believe it was Clifton that asked about core strength, which is really, really critical to a martial artist, and not just in the manner of being able to hold tension or move tension, but the idea of the torsion in your waist and being able to produce, you know, torsion force and not injure yourself, not tear muscle off your ribs, not pull your abdominals or hurt your back, or anything like that. So I have 3 exercises that I'm going to suggest for massively improving core strength. Okay, one of them is the Russian twist. Okay, and the Russian twist requires that you have some sort of bar. Okay, whether you can find a barbell or some kind of heavy pipe you can fill up with concrete or something just heavy. Okay, something heavy. And what you want to do is, a Russian twist is done with slightly bent elbows, and it's done from side to side, okay? Just like this. Now, the goal of the Russian twist, though, is to come over slowly and swing back hard to the center, okay? Over slowly, swing back hard to the center. It is not this little jaunty side to side like this that doesn't really do anything, okay? So here, and then back to center, and then here, and back to center, really working that force of torsion inside the higher levels of the midsection around the ribs and the back, okay? The second thing is farmer's walks. I started doing these a little while back with dumbbells, but you can do them with anything heavy, and if you're a beginner, a perfect thing to do them with is cinder blocks. If you're training your iron palm, you should have some cinder blocks around somewhere, okay? And if you do, pick those suckers up and go for a walk as long as you can, okay? Maybe walk a distance of, you know, anywhere between 20 and 60 yards, depending on how conditioned you are, and that will change over time, okay? And I tell you what, you do maybe 10 farmer's walks in a day, and I promise you will feel it in your obliques, in the lower sections of your core, and especially in your hips and back, because you're holding that weight while you're walking, okay? And the goal, of course, with a farmer's walk is to actually increase speed. So you can increase distance, but that doesn't really make as much of a difference as if you increase speed. So, and you can always, you know, buy dumbbells or get something heavier. If you go to a gym, they have heavy dumbbells. You can use that. That's what I would suggest. Obviously, the best is if you have access to farmer's walks implements. That would be, you know, the ideal situation. But just pick something up heavy and go for a walk. That's really the key there. The other thing is a different version of the Russian twist here. Okay, and I have to give credit to Elliot Hulse for this, because I saw him doing it, and you know, I was like, wow, this is just an amazing, you know, core exercise. But basically, again, for the force of torsion and being able to move our hips and our back, basically, like, you want to get something, a heavy rope, something with a little bit of weight to it. You know, you can add weight to the rope or whatever. Basically, what you're doing is you're getting a heavy object or some object that gives you some resistance. One second, my oven's going off. It gives you some resistance, and you're swinging it as hard as you can from side to side against a wall. Okay? This is, I mean, I can't even, you know, just even hearing what I'm saying and imagining a description of that exercise, you can see already how much benefit that's going to give you as far as producing a lot of force very, very fast with the midsection. So while we're all probably pretty strong in the front abdominal section, we need to increase the strength really in the sides and our lower back, in those areas that get all that scissor motion and torsion, so that we can really move fluidly and not worry about straining a muscle here or there. Okay, so those are the 3 exercises that I suggest for core development. Now, the last question that we got was about joint strengthening. There are, of course, 3 major exercises that I suggest for joint strengthening. That is the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift. The reason I suggest those is because when done with heavy weight, they require you to strengthen the muscles around your joints, and that is the part of the muscle that gets the most development. Something about, I don't know if you can see my legs here, but in my legs, most of the muscle is right here around my knee. That's because I squat very heavy. Okay. What that does is that protects the joint. Okay. So if you can do those lifts and you have access to an area where you can do a bench, squat, deadlift, go ahead and do that. But there are a few other things you can do. Okay. Let's talk about these guys. These need to be strengthened. Okay. A lot. So what we need to do is we need to start with push-ups. And what you really want to do is you want to start with diamond push-ups. Correct diamond push-ups, externally rotated, hands a distance apart, not all the way together. And you want to strengthen the triceps so you can do about maybe 5 sets of 20. Once you can do 5 sets of 20, you want to move up onto the fingertips of all your fingers, okay? And it's going to be holding you up, and you're going to feel it in your triceps. That's why we want to condition those first. And just try to do maybe 3 to 4 sets to failure, okay? And then, of course, you know, the whole goal is you take one finger away at a time, not the thumb. Always the smallest finger from the end. So pinky, ring finger, middle finger, and then your index finger, and then only doing them on your thumbs. Don't ever try to do them only on your index fingers. That is for Shaolin monks who train crazy, okay? So basic joint strengthening, though, can be done with fingertip push-ups, gradually, always doing sets to failure. Decide an arbitrary number where you want to start to take away a finger. I suggest 20 to 25. That's going to take you a good long time. All right. For other joint strengthening, for knees, this is critically important. Our knees are so important. You can't get to a gym. You can't squat, whatever. Okay. Here is what I suggest. Get a chair. Okay. Hold on to the chair so your back can be supported. Okay? Let me back up a little bit. You want to squat down holding the chair. Okay? So it doesn't matter what physiological issue you have at this point unless you just have something horrible going on. Okay? You want to keep your back as straight as possible. Okay? And you want to squat down, okay, to full depth or right at parallel, which is where your hip passes your knee. Okay? And you want to work right here at that range between parallel and half standing. Parallel, half standing. Parallel, half standing. That literally, and you'll feel it, it only targets the lower quad here by the knee. Okay? That's the first thing you need to do to help your knee joint strength, is to increase the strength and conditioning of the quadricep right at the knee where it connects to the calf and the hamstring. Okay? So that's going to strengthen ACL, LCL, MCL, everything around that musculature will be strengthened. Okay. The other thing I suggest you can't get to a gym is simple deadlifts with no weight. Okay. Down and back up. Okay. And what you can even do too is if you get conditioned enough, you can use start using a chair for your balance, or whatever. One-legged deadlifts. One-legged deadlifts. Now, of course, you'll have to do much higher volume with body weight than you will with a barbell. So just keep that in mind. You might have to do, 50 to 100 of these to get an effect. Okay. The other thing is your sacroiliac joint, which is your joint at your hips. I really suggest working your hips and your back at all times. So 2 things I'm going to suggest. If you don't have access to a gym, this is what we're assuming, okay? If you don't have access to a gym, okay, one of the best things you can do for your hips is just knee raises or straight leg raises, okay? So probably 50 to 100 of these, or alternating both, okay? So just do, a good amount of hip raises, whether they're knee bent. You may have to start with a knee bent, that's fine, okay? And as you progress, then you can raise your straight leg, in a controlled fashion. Don't swing your leg. It's not a stretch. Just, raise it till you feel a contraction in your hip, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to work the opposite side by doing not so much a hyperextension, but an erector lift. So hands on hips, butt out, down, back up. This is called a good morning. Okay? Down, back up. Knees stay bent, hips stay flexed. You should feel this in your lower back. Okay? Just like this. About 50 to 100. The last thing I would suggest for sacroiliac joint health is to put your legs up on your couch and do several bridges, maybe 20 to 30, holding them as long as you can. So bridge up, hold it as long as you can, and then down. Okay, so that's my suggestion. So that does it for this Q&A. Didn't really have too many questions this time, but some good ones and some ones that are kind of off on subjects that we need to cover because they don't get covered much. So if you have any more questions, just put them on the Lung Tong. I'll see them, and I'll redo this every week. Okay, anyhow, I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, this has been Bill, and train strong, train hard, guys.